This is ISAM 5338 course offered by Professor Douglas Till, and this is your teaching assistant Kashyap Kaiti. Now, taking a look at our second assignment, all we had to do is basically this is ISAM 5338 course offered by Professor Douglas Till, and this is your teaching assistant Kashyap Kaiti. Now, taking a look at our second assignment, all we had to do is basically display data from two different tables. One is inventory table and another is supply table. Now I have taken the liberty of adding the supply table and also adding values to the supply table. Now if you don't know how to add tables and also to add values to those tables, then you can check out the video 1 for the assignment 1. Now to do the assignment second assignment, all we need to know is an SQL statement. Precisely talking, this SQL statement. Now if you know the basics of SQL, you can directly skip to the second video. If you are new to SQL, then please tag along. Now SQL is a query language that is primarily used when we are dealing with databases. It is used to retrieve, update, delete, edit and store data in databases. Now our data has already been added to the tables and into the databases, so all we have to do is just retrieve the data and also to display it. Now to retrieve and display the data from the databases, we need an SQL statement. Here is the syntax on SQL statement. The select and from words here, which are displayed in bold red color, or system defined keywords, and the select statement gives a list of comma separated column values that we want to be displayed. So these are the column separated column names, and this is a table name to which the columns belong. So whatever columns are defined here will be displayed, and all the columns that are kept here should be present in the table, and but for suppose that if there are 20 something columns in a table name, then instead of writing all the column names, you can just write select star from and whatever the table name is. Basically, whenever we want to display values from multiple tables, then we should give comma separated table names after the from keyword. Doing so would give us the data from both the tables, but although we would get data, the resultant data would not make any sense, and we would not be able to make any resultant conclusion from the data that is being retrieved. For example, consider that the table name 1 or the table 1 consists of statistics about a hockey player, like the number of matches he played and number of goals he made. And consider that the table name 2 has statistics about a football player, similar kind of data, but the resultant data would not make any sense, because the table 1 is dealing with a player who is into hockey and table 2 is dealing with a player who is into football. You cannot make a conclusion, and you cannot compare those two players because they are playing different games, and you cannot make a conclusion whether which player is better and which player is not. So to make a conclusion, there should be a common element in both the tables. For suppose, consider that both the table name 1, that is table 1, and the table 2 contains statistics about a hockey player itself. So when both of the tables contain statistics about a hockey player, then we could seeing the data, we could make a conclusion whether which player is better. So whenever we want the resultant data to make sense, we need to have a common element or a common attribute in both of the tables. So looking at our tables, both the supplier and inventory, If we have to find a common attribute, then it would be our supplier ID. If you look at both the tables, then supplier ID is present in both the tables, and if you look at the inventory table, the product, that is papers, is supplied by the supplier ID who has a supplier ID of 101, and in the supplier table, the supplier ID 101 belongs to the supplier name paper mill. So when we join both of the inventory and the supplier table using the supplier ID, that is 101, we can make a resultant conclusion that the papers are supplied by the supplier paper mill. So to make this happen using SQL, we need another system defined keyword called where. WHERE. This is the system defined keyword that we require to join both the tables using a common attribute. Now the first two lines are similar to the select statement shown here. This is the select statement, and these are the column values that we want to retrieve, and these are the table names inventory and supplier that contain these column values. Now we are going to join these two tables using the common attribute that they contain, that is the supplier ID. Okay, one is inventory. Let me make it black. One is inventory dot supplier ID is equal to supplier dot supplier ID. So basically what I have said is, whenever the supplier ID column of the inventory table is equal to the supplier ID of the supplier table, then join both of the tables and show these column values. So if you noticed, after the select statement we have given the column values directly without the table name before it, but here we have specified the table name and gave a dot and then the column values here. The reason for this is because the supplier ID column has same name in both of the tables. If you can see here, then here it is supplier ID, and here also it is supplier ID. So there would be an ambiguity for the compiler. It would not be able to decide which supplier ID this belongs to. So to remove the ambiguity, we are specifying that this supplier ID columns belongs to this inventory table, and this supplier ID column belongs to this supplier table. So this is the select statement that we need to do our assignment. Yeah.